Fellow FMV game developers, strangers from distant lands, familiar faces of old, you have been summoned here to answer the threat of the Love is All Around Empire. We can unite by combining the strength of our various games, or we shall fall. One does not simply defy the Love is All Around Empire. The Emperor in Chinese sees all. There is evil there that does not sleep. The various romantic stories the Emperor will develop will capture all. Not with 10,000 good releases could you do this. It is folly.
Nothing is impossible.
With all due respect, Princess Leia, your Story Taco organization has the resources to launch several operations like Don't Fool Me Beauty, Heroines Through My Lenses, and Five Hearts Under One Roof Season 2. Not like many of us where the blood of our people is spent to ensure all our games have a fighting chance.
Do me a personal favor, Boromir. Be optimistic.
Have you heard nothing Lord Elrond just said? We must unite to stand against the Love is All Around Empire.
And I suppose you think the Knowledge of No Lady series is the one to do it.
And if we fail, what then? What happens when the Emperor in Tiny finds out about this?
I will be dead before I see every award go to the hands of the Knowledge of No Lady series.
How dare you say that? Substance. How about a vote? Oh, FMV developers, Mr. Frodo is right. It doesn't have to be so complicated like some sort of high fantasy drama. A very good high fantasy one though. Hello and Happy New Year everyone, Rain here, and to kick off the new year I would like to go over the winners and runner-ups for the FMV Community Awards that I posted about a few weeks ago and share my thoughts on why each title won their respective categories. Thank you to everyone who voted, and just as a heads up, I will be talking about story details for more comprehensive views, so there will be some spoilers for some of the games. With that out of the way, let's get straight into the awards. A fitting category to start off the awards presentation, the runner-up goes to Such a Guy, where the player plays as Zheng Zai or Zane, who decides to run a guest house business with best friends Fei Yang or Felix and Da Chao or Clark, and meets 6 different potential love interests from feisty independent singer Zhu Yi or Zoe to easygoing tour guide Jiang Lai or Layla. Each of the women have unique personalities and therefore each romantic arc is different. Graphic designer Xu Manman or Mina connects with Zheng Zai on more serious matters like individual career aspirations versus societal expectations, but she's usually more reserved, and so these moments when she opens up are arguably quite in-depth. Loyaka or Erica may appear as a tsundere type like Shen Huixin, but is actually motivated to be a content creator to share authentic experiences with people and feels burdened by the fact that she has to do all the work herself, like editing, caption writing, and scripting. I'm just gonna say, I feel your pain, girl. Whoa, I'm just being empathetic here. There is a lot more bashful teasing between Zheng Zai and Loyaka compared to the easygoing nature of the banter between Zheng Zai and Jiang Lai, where one could almost not notice the line between friendship and romance between the two immediately. On the surface, the various Such a Guy love interests may fit archetypes that, to be fair, have been seen in other romance FMV games like the domineering older female or slightly silly younger lady. But what makes the romance options in Such a Guy different is the depth of character. For example, Zhu Yi is a feisty independent lady, but she likes it when Zheng Zai treats her with what seems to be cheesy but sweet romantic gestures. Although a landlady with various properties, Gan Qi or Qi actually doesn't like the idea that men have to always be the ones to look after women and is more concerned about the authenticity of relationships. Similarly, for marine biology student Wang Yutong or Ivy, she's more resilient than the typical silly young lady archetype. The romantic developments are a bit slower than most romance FMV games, which is perhaps the reason why I think it got into the runner-up position, but in a way it feels more realistic as Zheng Cai spends regular amounts of time getting to know the various women and makes the later game moments when the women show more romantic affection, like when Zuo Yi indirectly indicates she wants to be together with Zheng Cai by asking him how much can a singer earn in Zheng Cai's hometown, more believable. This makes the romances in Such a Guy feel real and more than just a video game. Coming to our winner, we have one of 2025's surprise hits, Hello Love 18 again, where the player plays as Li Tao, a young man who is given a chance at new life after his cat, Little Snow, gives up her 9 lives to the cat god for her master to be reborn after an accident. The catch? Well, Li Tao time travels back to being 18 years old and must find love within 30 days, or he will face total and utter oblivion. But no pressure, and no, I'm not making this plot point up. The various love interests break away from character archetypes like rich girl Sheng Mengxuan not being a typical spoiled brat, but instead she finds that being wealthy can be isolating as her parents became more focused on socializing rather than spending quality family time. Or how teacher Lu Yeru has a lot of knowledge and advice to give to the student characters, such as not letting hurts become long-term. It is ironic that an ex-boyfriend who she thought was gentle and humorous turned out to be a love scammer, caused her to be very doubtful about love. It seems contradictory, but it makes the character feel real. What makes Hello Love 18 Again's romantic developments compelling is that it reflects the depths and complexities of the various women. For example, despite being a very successful businesswoman, Xu Jiajia's biggest dream is to cook a nice meal that her significant other would happily eat, which is so unexpected for someone who on the surface appears to be very financially successful, or how Shen Mengxuan's irritation with fellow rich kid Jia Wencai's obnoxious pursuing of her suggests her desire to find someone who truly loves her is a reflection to find some freedom in her strict life. Each of the love interests have different paces to their love stories, such as childhood friend Chu Yao being absolutely smitten with Li Tao due to the latter protecting her from school bullies, to cheerleader Su Xiaoxiao's initial flirty teasing of Li Tao on whether he likes her or just her looks or personality evolves into real romantic feelings when we see her genuinely jealous about the other women's feelings for Li Tao. In contrast to most romance FMV games where the game's story ends with a romantic confession and a brief look afterwards, Hello Love 18 again offers extensive epilogues along the lines of Tomorrow's Love Puzzle's endings, where we see how things are between Li Tao and the chosen love interest, such as being in a relationship with Li Tao leads to Shen Mengxuan rejecting her father's desire for her to study overseas, and although it leads to a big argument, it results in a healthier relationship dynamic between father and daughter, Chu Yao and Li Tao discussing having children together, or Xu Jiajia initially expressing concerns about how a relationship between her and Li Tao won't work out due to her being a businesswoman and himself a regular university student. We don't usually get this look at different phases of romantic relationships in most romance FMV games, which, coupled with the realism of the love interests, personalities, dumps and whole, make this game one that, funny enough, was not on most people's radars during the early parts of 2025, but understandably the winner for Best Romance of 2025. Coming as a runner-up for Best Drama, we have Revenge on Gold Diggers, a game that became a viral hit, but also one with controversy to the point that it was featured on the BBC, and after all,
Oh my goodness, somebody who's been on the BBC must be good.
Not sure about whether that's the case here, but anyway, beneath the popular discourse lies a game that explores various interesting themes. After being cheated of his money in a love scam with streamer Chen Xingxi, protagonist Wu Yulun becomes the leader of the Anti-Gold Digger Squad, a group of Robin Hood-like members who help victims of emotional or love scams, something like the Leverage TV series. Adding to that similarity, the game features the player making choices on various con-women marks which can be successful or not, and makes the chapters feel like you're playing a video game version of Leverage. As the choices involve understanding the personalities and preferences of the marks, every decision feels consequential, which along with the game of cat and mouse between Wu Yulun and the female mark add to the game's overall sense of suspense. What makes the game interesting is that Wu Yulun's dynamics with the various con-women marks are not of straightforward antagonism, but rather of various mixed emotions such as the romantic tension and rivalry between Wu Yulun and Chen Xinru or Chen Xinxin, which are very compelling as it shuffles between trading barbs with each other and moments of genuine sadness or regret. Furthermore, based on the player's decisions, you could even have Wu Yulun genuinely develop feelings for one of the con-women marks, adding a refreshing twist to the game's story of getting even. The game's story does raise interesting questions about materialism and how much wealth and social status affects romantic relationship, which is helped by the variety of third-person camera angles along with the high production values that add a strong cinematic flavor to the game. Game of Fate 2 features the returning protagonist's time-traveling device, bringing him back to the early 20th century Republican China period, and what starts as a chance meeting with main love interest Fang Zilian's brother turns into a quest of navigating power struggles involving corrupt warlords, Japanese imperial expansionists, and Fang Zilian's desire for revenge for her father and brother's deaths. This quest for revenge at any potential cost is often at odds with the protagonist's growing romantic relationship with Fang Zilian, represented so well by the fantastic chemistry between actress Zhong Shenyao and the male actor or cameraman representing the protagonist. This conflict was certainly felt by me during my playthrough on how to help Fang Zilian while ensuring there is a chance for her to be together with the protagonist, adding a real sense to the dramatic tension. This also adds momentum for the player to move through the main story, particularly on trying to time travel to save Fang Zilian. The time jumps where some of the love interests like Gu Xifan becoming hardened than her younger idealistic self, or best friend martial arts master Chen Zhen becoming a self-loathing person, certainly strengthens the player's motivation to time travel and make things better. The potential changes of time traveling adds an uncertainty element, such as changing assassin Xiao Kui's fate from an antagonist to a love interest that makes the story engaging. The game isn't perfect with its emphasis on Fang Zilian, meaning that other romance options like Gu Xifan and the older Xiao Kui getting less attention, but the way Fang Zilian's story is so intrinsically tied with the main story makes it so compelling, and I can see why it won the vote. Time for something a little bit more lighthearted, and for our runner-up for Best Comedy as voted by the community, and certainly a worthy one, is Five Huts Under One Roof Season 2 with its mixture of styles of humour. Returning of course is the raunchier humour such as Mal-sook talking about Grundong's assets.
Charming.
But perhaps as a reflection of the different love interests, we saw different styles of humour like Yuri pretending to be a cat, which is admittedly both hilarious and adorable, or even surprises such as Yu Zhongyang trolling Yuman that she can see ghosts, or to hide her identity, Minjun plays along with Yuman criticizing himself that a guy like him has absolutely no chance with Minjun. Story Taco even found ways to make more seemingly simple jokes like Yuman's teacher assuming that Yuman needs to take a dump when he's trying to hide Yuri to prevent her from being punished for being late, or even making Yuman sneeze out loud to cover Yuri sneezing when Dr. Suji Lee comes home. Sometimes the randomness of things in the story is so absurd that it's hilarious, like why when it appears that Yuri is sleepwalking, she suddenly scares Yuman and Minjun that I can't be sure whether she really has a sleepwalking problem or she's just messing with them. There are even some endings that just come out of nowhere, like this Mal-sook devil ending, or for some random reason, Yuri and Dr. Suji Lee decide to dress up and roleplay at Yuman's maze. I mean, like, cool, but like, why? But I can't deny these things add more to how funny and ridiculous this game is. Knowledge or No Lady 2, the game with a great identity crisis with alternative titles like God Bless or Goddess, Lady Sect Protector, and Ladies Don't Tempt My Immortality. You know what, I'm just gonna stick to simplicity and call it Knowledge or No Lady 2. Arguably the more comedic of the big two Chinese franchises compared to Love Is All Around, and certainly reflected in the vote, Knowledge or No Lady 2 made me laugh a lot throughout my playthroughs, such as how unorthodox it is for an immortal master like Master Jing Wuyu to be such a troll and find ways to test the limits of Lin Fan's will to physical attraction, or the diverse way the various love interests tease Lin Fan. The game embraces the ridiculousness of Lin Fan checking out the love interest for mythological cultivation reasons like examining Pan Suqi or making Lan Yunro lean like a model, and it's this tongue-in-cheek style that makes the game pretty funny. It's not all sexual humor like how certain side characters like Pan Suqing's landlady, who initially looks down upon Lin Fan and then does a complete 180 and then adores him once he gives her loads of money. The doors dollar bills can unlock, right? A highlight of this game is how the different love interests express their romantic rivalry with each other, such as Lan Ke, Bai Wanwan, and Lan Yuron just outing each other one by one that they were following Lin Fan or playing a guessing game on the other women's worst qualities. The banter between Lin Fan and some of the love interests like Lei Xiao is quite enjoyable, that goes beyond the one-sided teasing that dominates the early chapters. Knowledge or No Lady 2 embraces the contrast between its more serious Chinese mythological setting and ridiculous humor filled with modern mainland Chinese slangs and culture with great irreverence, and I can see why it's deserving of being the best comedy. As the romance FMV genre developed, many developers chose to explore settings beyond the modern day, such as historical fiction, which is our next category. The runner-up is Road to Empress, another surprise hit of 2025. Set in the Tang Dynasty and inspired by the historical figure of Empress Wu Zetian, Road to Empress has the player playing as Wu Yuanzhao, a lowly court lady hoping to rise up in the court for her family status. This was a game based on my research on mainland Chinese social media that wasn't a highly anticipated title, which is why I didn't do a news update video on it, but upon release it became an absolute hit both with mainland Chinese and international players, which is significant considering that it's not part of an established FMV franchise, and because it's one of the few female protagonist FMVs that really stood out and made a splash. Off the bat, you face politicking and court intrigues from characters like your supposed childhood friend Liu Si and favoured consort Wei, seeking to destroy you on a House of Cards level of backstabbing and scheming, which makes the game's main story very intriguing to navigate. The huge cast of characters with different individual interests like Consort Yin and the rivalry between the different princes make the story very interesting. On the other hand, it does mean there are a lot of failed endings that sometimes end up being unintentionally comedic because it just comes out of nowhere or too strong, like Prince Li Tai killing Yuan Zhao just because she says no to his scheme to smuggle something for the crown prince. I'm like, whoa dude, that's a little strong. Learn to take a no from a lady, man. Sometimes the failed endings veer into horror movie territory, like Wu Yuanzhao's auntie consort Yang constantly poisoning her with osmanthus soups.
这儿上碗桂花羹来，桂花羹，这桂花羹来碗桂花羹，桂花羹来碗桂花羹。
And I must confess, makes you feel I can never see osmanthus soup the same way again. The cinematography, use of various camera angles, detailed set designs, and costumes really help to immerse players in this historical fictional version of the Tang Dynasty. With an upcoming sequel teasing how the story could play very differently if the player sides with either Prince Li Zhi, now Emperor Gaozong, or Prince Li Tai, it's a game series to watch out for. Similarly to Road to Empress, Mandate of Heaven was a game that was initially not high on players' radars due to its initial simpler marketing campaign and romantic elements being less prominent, but upon release proved to be an astonishing success. You play as Sikong Yao, the Prince of Jin, second son to the Emperor of the Xuan dynasty, and like Wu Yuanzhao of Road to Empress, your character is also involved in a power struggle against your older brother Prince Sikong Zhen, the Prince of Ning. The player can decide what sort of ruler Prince Sikong Yao will be like. Will he be an ideal, benevolent ruler or a firm but Machiavellian type of ruler? It has the feeling of a Western RPG like Fable, where the player can decide to be good or evil, such as whether to respond to Prince Sikong Zheng's schemes either with regret to try and restore the brotherly relationship or with anger. On occasion, you still have to make tough political decisions, but Mandate of Heaven allows players to follow their moral compasses more compared to Road to Empress, which emphasized the moral grayness of political success. It's not just political intrigue that the player must navigate, as the player has to make military decisions where Prince Sikong Yao is deployed to lead a military campaign against barbarians in the north, adding a strategy game-like element to the game. The game has a good mixture of first-person and third-person camera angles that I found made me feel like I'm embodying Prince Sikong Yao. Unlike most FMVs where the story explores a particular year or age of the main character, Mandate of Heaven allows for the player to make decisions for Prince Sikong Yao as he gets older, offering something unique where most FMV games tend to rarely explore various age periods or epilogues, which makes this game worthy of being the winner. Some of you might be surprised to hear that Love Is All Around 2 was the runner-up voted for the best mystery compared to other more mystery-focused games like Detective Please Protect My Secret, but I gotta give credit to Intiny. They could have used finding the truth behind the fire who killed protagonist Cheng Ye's family as just a simple motivation or background element for the romance stories, but they managed to make it a compelling mystery. Just as a heads up again, there will be story spoilers, so I can talk about this aspect in more depth, but feel free to skip this part if you haven't played the game yet. Cheng Ye's investigation of the possible suspects leads him to uncover a larger shadow war between the House of Heavenly Scent and the Organization of Assassins and the Shangxuan Society, a secret organization led by Princess Lu Mingyue, fighting to get a hidden imperial edict with implications for the throne. As the player discovers layers and layers of truth like a
Goddamn onion.
to secrets like whether Cheng Ye's father Cheng Zhiyuan was framed or not for the massacre of a tribe of foreigners that courtesan Liu Shishi was from. It was very interesting to piece together these different secrets to see whether they are related or not to the fire that killed the Cheng family. The game requires multiple playthroughs to fully uncover the mystery, and it is fascinating to uncover the hidden truths of the relationship between the characters such as Ning's master Ren Zhiyao to Cheng Ye. The hunt for the imperial decree reveals that the late Crown Prince Lu Zhao, the biological brother of Lu Mingyue, was meant to be the next emperor, not the current one, the third Prince Lu Chen. This power play is interesting, but I think why it got voted into the runner-up position is that some of the more interesting aspects of this mystery are not shown in scenes, such as the important players of the two princes not even appearing at all, or details being indicated or implied in the item description, such as Crown Prince Lu Zhao's daughter Lu Jingyun. Now, whether the implied true ending of the mystery that Cheng Ye's father Cheng Zhiyuan planned everything in the story is satisfactory or not is a completely different story. Still, the main story was certainly compelling enough for me to initially not notice that the Xie sisters, played by popular favorites Zhong Chenyao and Wang Han, essentially disappear in the middle chapters of the game, so any game where the main story is interesting enough for me to not notice the absence of popular love interest certainly justifies a runner-up position for Best Mystery. Featuring a great cast including Yu Binghui's first post-Love Is All Around role, Cellveilance has the player play as an apartment building manager who, to pay off bills for his mother's medication, is forced to install spy cameras and report on his tenants to his debtor. This serves as a starting point for the larger main story involving investigating a serial killer called the Iris Killer and why the victims were all individuals involved in a blackmail network with an unscrupulous man named Wang Shicheng gets more complex, with the involvement of a cult led by the charismatic leader Cheng Xingnong, whose usage of some sort of incense or tea leads to plots of brainwashing and time travel loops. Other than the main story, each of the love interests have intriguing mysteries tied to their personal lives, like why Ling Tong keeps a life-size doll and calls it Little Sister, why are the Xu sisters not on the best of terms, or the feelings of shame with having a child out of wedlock for single mother Zhu Shanman. So many questions, as my professor would say, and these various secrets make repeated playthroughs worthwhile and rewarding to understand the overall picture. In fact, multiple playthroughs are a must, as to proceed further to the endgame to break the time loop and defeat Cheng Xingnong, the player has to first unlock all the romantic confessions from all the love interests before going into a Yu-Gi-Oh style card battle to symbolize a test of wills between the player and Cheng Xingnong. I'm not making this part up, and I think it's honestly brilliant, just that it's such a pity that Epic Dream didn't try to... 我预测这个回合我会打败你。什么？你没有任何东西，你认错了。我会用这些卡完全打败你。我先用故意欠沈慧星钱。如果对手玩家用什么魔法卡，玩家就可以将手卡抽到5张卡。如果有什么怪兽卡，尽可能在场上特殊召唤。他这样的人也值得你去救吗？大世界蓝云柔攻击老鼠，引分身自书。侍卫夜雨攻击女妖。女妖女王 Miko 攻击狼人，浪漫诱惑，顾警官攻击死亡，到最后，疯狂少女灵头对玩家发动直接攻击。疯狂的爱就是力量。Come on, Epic Dream, I want to see cool duel scenes, man! But regardless, the mixture of personal secrets, the overall cult control conspiracy story, and surprises like time loops make fully understanding Cellveilance's mystery incredibly rewarding. For the most innovative runner-up, we have the most recently released title among the recipients, Soul Touch, where you play as Li Pu, a content creator manager who has to navigate developing feelings for new colleague, the energetic Xu Zhaozhao, calm streamer Zhongran, and businesswoman Yu Zhi. What makes this game unique is a love/lust point system, although the latter is called horny, which is But let's stick with the term lust, where your choices to connect with the women's genuine personalities or to focus more on their physically attractive attributes will result in love or lust points respectively. Some of the latter are pretty obvious, like appreciating art, and some more subtle, like emphasizing Zhongran being suitable to be a content creator when in reality that's not the best for her. Depending on which woman you have the most lust points with, a succubus or female demon will take on that love interest form, and that's the form the succubus will maintain throughout a single playthrough. If she takes on Xu Zhaozhao's form, the succubus will appear as a cute fortune teller to emphasize Zhao Zhao's outwardly cute behavior, or if in Zhongran's form, a medical professional with an air of mystery about her. This makes every playthrough interesting with different but tangible outcomes, especially since it would change the female demon's question on whether Li Pu is attracted to the true personality or certain characteristics of the woman the female demon is impersonating. Other than offering variety for the player, these scenes get the player to reflect on what type of romantic relationship they would like. Would they like for things to be more free and easy or serious, or are they attracted to a particular image or projection of a person or their true selves? Although the premise does sound similar to the Altus game Catherine, it is a bit different because the same actresses like Qiao Yao now play both their characters' real counterparts and demonic impersonator, but in a way that makes them feel like two different individuals, and the way the love/lust system is incorporated with tangible outcomes makes Soul Touch a noteworthy runner-up despite being a relatively new release. Unlike most romance FMV games with only a clear building or losing affection points system, Cellveilance mixes this system with a karma system that is determined by your choices, such as whether to tattle on sensitive information about the love interest or other characters, or to intervene in difficult situations. What adds to the complexity is that the karma system can be at odds with the protagonist's need to pay off his mother's medical bills, where your debtor chases you for money every single day, raising questions on what secrets you are willing to share for money, or do you take risks that you can earn money by taking the moral high ground. It also presents interesting dilemmas, such as whether to sell off a hallucinogen to a sketchy fellow or to keep it for yourself for future opportunities without initial notions of the consequences. This moral greyness could result in scenarios like where you could choose to steal Xu Ningqing's thumb drive, but her younger sister Xu Huiyun will be willing to defend you publicly, which honestly made me feel terrible despite my intentions to investigate things further. We don't usually get this sort of freedom to explore the complications of moral greyness in romance FMV games, and it adds a greater level of player agency that I can see why it was voted the winner for most innovative FMV game. The genre has come a long way, with many devs now producing their own title songs for their own games, but Intiny took a step further by making songs for each of the Love Is All Around 2 love interests, sung by their respective actresses, such as Zhong Chenyao singing Xie Ke's theme song Miles of Stars, which has some elements of Beijing or Peking opera when Zhong Chenyao changes her pitch suddenly to a higher one, symbolizing how her character sees Cheng Ye as her partner, or Princess Lu Mingyue's moonlit theme song, representing the character's desire to bring peace to the White Kingdom but also wanting to journey together with Cheng Ye. Ironically, this is the only part of the game where you can hear actress Lu Yitong's real voice, as her character has been ADR throughout the story. If this is really Lu Yitong playing a Chinese flute called a Dizi, it's honestly impressive, and based on her performance in Beauties for Help on the Island, I think she's a really underrated actress. Each of the title songs captures the essence of the love interest's personality, or romantic arcs like Liu Shishi's theme song Lingering Night, symbolizing how her character's jovial personality masks her deep turmoil over wanting revenge for the deaths of her clan. These songs sung by the various love interests' actresses are nice, but they are played at only specific scenes, like when Ning initially leaves Cheng Ye, Princess Lu Mingyue playing with the kids, or Liu Shishi's dance performance. If any of you are familiar with Chinese dramas, you'll probably recognize the C-drama style of playing songs in the middle of conversations, or usually doing some sort of melancholic montage. Unfortunately, because these songs are played intermittently with no instrumental versions, it can be hard to immediately associate a particular song with one of the women. However, this isn't the case for the main title song Gleam of Night, which is used more regularly, including an instrumental version used during an intense but tender moment with Liu Shishi, or during Governor Su Jin's monologue. Plus the lyrics and melody that capture the mixture of deep romantic connections and separations perfectly encapsulate the journey Cheng Ye and the various women go on. The instrumental score is pretty good too, although I think it does a better job at the more comedic stuff, such as this flute-like whimsical tone.
婚书
都已经写好了。
记住，如果要是暴露了身份，
All this comical piano tone, both of which are very memorable. Although the piano score played here when Ning and Cheng Ye realized they both have the character Qi in their identities is a nice one to reflect the softer moments between Cheng Ye and the love interest. While it's incredibly admirable on In Tiny's part to produce songs for each love interest, I think this effort is a little underrepresented by In Tiny's choice to not feature instrumental versions or the original versions more in the story for players to hear more of it, which is why I think the game's OST got into the runner-up position. Coming to our winner as voted by the community is Such a Guy, and after playing the game myself, it's not hard to see why, with its mixture of instrumental music for different emotional contexts and excellent selection of vocal songs in the game. Unlike most romance FMV games, Such a Guy contains musical motifs for each love interest, such as Ganqi having a more jazzy theme or more indie-style guitar tones for Wang Yutong, which represents each love interest's personality quite well. Even the SpongeBob SquarePants-like music used for the comedic scenes or transitions, you know, this one.
坐会儿，那个交给我就行了。
别这样看我。
Played for a lot of the sad scenes in SpongeBob SquarePants are used to great effect in the game. The selection of instrumental music such as the more melancholic score used when Zheng Zai has an emotional breakdown about the failure of the guest house helps to enhance the story's impact further on the player. Maybe sometimes too much though, as though whenever I hear this, feel my anxiety going through the roof, just like how the Tea Time Joy music in Fire Emblem Three Houses reminds me of the stress of trying to not mess up answering obscure conversation topics. You can see this personalized touch to the music with how you can make lyric suggestions for Zuoyi to sing, which is pretty cool. And for those of you who have played the original Love Is All Around, you might recognize this particular piece.
陆毅哥，你干嘛？我在这儿呢。帮你擦嗓子。 怎么啦？还脸红啊？
Being present in Such a Guy,
怎么做到的？谢了，干衣服果然舒服多了。
跟我客气什么？
那我告诉你个秘密吧。
and I absolutely love it. What a throwback to those early days for Asian romance FMV games. I mentioned about the vocal songs in this game, and the songs sung by Zuoyi, whether it's during the Do or Die night market or when she's asking Zheng Zai for help to compose a song, are fantastic. I think why Such a Guy got a step up more from Love Is All Around 2 is that the majority of the vocal songs are integrated into the main story rather than just appearing in montages. Of course, there are some songs that are not sung by the characters in the story, such as the songs by Wendy Wang, such as the one you'll hear when you boot up the game, you know, the one that starts with
If you were a planet, you would be Pluto.
What's very cool is that as you progress through the story, the main menu song will change to Sea of Strangers and to my personal favorite, Lucky Day, that
This is my lucky day.
plays when you pick one of the women, which is not only beautiful for its acoustic style, but because the lyric feels like it's one of the love interests singing or expressing her romantic feelings for Zheng Zai. So I want to give a shout out to singer Wendy Wang. You can check out her channel here, and if there's any chance you're watching this, Wendy, I hope you'll be able to be involved in a future DLC or sequel for Such a Guy. It will be our lucky day. Because of the huge attention to detail and selection for various instrumental and vocal songs that are integrated into the narrative, it's no wonder that Such a Guy got the winner's vote for Best OST. Befitting of this category, I must confess that I didn't play the runner-up or winner for most underrated until I played them myself as research for this video, and boy, can I see why the recipients were voted in. Starting with Detective Please Protect My Secret, where you play as private investigator Xiao Hei and investigate 3 cases ranging from dealing with a male stalker to whether a client's younger sister is possessed by a ghost.
Roast? A roast?
Yes, really, Scooby-Doo! Unlike most romance FMV games where you make different choices along a linear story, this game allows you to pick different cases which focuses on different love interests in no particular order, such as to investigate dance teacher Liu Yuqing's male stalker, or helping to find out more details about Li Chengyu's younger actress sister Li Luoyan. At pivotal moments for investigating cases, you can make decisions such as immediately revealing a phone hack or to keep it quiet to investigate things further discreetly. Each case goes through twists and turns, such as what starts as a supposed exorcism haunting case that actually is a movie descends into a case of investigating inappropriate sexual favors in the entertainment industry. Even though the game has a very irreverent tone, particularly with the protagonist Xiao Hei, who unlike most male protagonists who are usually more of the shy type, is more sassy and quick-witted with the various love interests, sometimes to the point of being ridiculous or too forward about being attracted to women. The game's story actually touches upon moral complexities such as how exposure of sexual harassment could lead to mixed impacts on the victims, or who is the patient zero or source of trouble for a polyamorous man's relationships in a way that balances the humor and seriousness organically. Something we can see in how Wan Xiao Xiao, who works in a maid cafe and for some bizarre reason keeps saying at random conversation intervals, actually has some depth, such as feeling absolutely lost without the certainty of a dominatrix style relationship, and due to thinking it is an adequate replacement for parents due to her being an orphan, and that being disciplined and ordered around is a reflection of parental love. An absolute highlight for this game is Xiao Hei's banter with assistant Kitty Wu, especially since the latter is just so blunt and doesn't give a damn about calling out Xiao Hei's tendencies towards women. It's absolutely comedy gold, but it's quite fun to see moments where Kitty does show some genuine romantic interest in Xiao Hei. Coupled with how the game has some surprises such as unlocking a hidden ending if you refuse to side with any of the Lee sisters near the end of their case, and the larger mystery of the Rainbow organization which is involved in the various cases, Detective Please Protect My Secret is definitely a very underrated title. On the surface, Love Starts Again sounds like a Japanese version of Hello Love 18 Again, with its premise of protagonist AE time traveling to his university days when he collapses at his crappy job. But once you go further into the game, you will find the game has great depth even in the early chapters, such as childhood friend Kasumi feeling sad that maybe she doesn't know AE very well due to him feeling hazy from the time travel trip, or classmate Azusa liking a normal but honest day despite appearing to be a very extroverted fun type and wondering whether she can form a romantic relationship with a guy despite being tomboyish. It has an indie vibe to it with its non-flashy style of filming, visuals, lo-fi music and production quality, but the writing and acting has such a sincere and heartfelt quality to it that it reminds me of the original Love Is All Around. So when moments like Kasumi feeling worried that confessing her romantic feelings will ruin their friendship, and hoping that her closeness with AE will eventually result in him feeling the same way, or making choices to ensure things are not awkward with Azusa as it did happen in the original timeline, I felt there was a realness to the performance and story. So that's why, although it may share a similar premise with Hello Love 18 Again, this sincerity makes Love Starts Again absolutely worthy of being the winner. The genre may be dominated by mainland Chinese romance FMVs, but that doesn't mean there aren't gems from those made in other countries, starting with runner-up ReFate Echoes of Desire, where you play as an amnesiac trying to regain your lost memory while being caught up in Yakuza dealings of the Kureiwa clan. Before I go on any further, the transliteration of the love interest Japanese names is not accurate in the existing game's English subtitles, so I will be using corrected ones, but I will use in brackets how their names are written in the full game for easier reference. As you play the game, you regain bits and pieces such as having a previous romantic relationship with Kuroiwa clan leader Kuroiwa Seka, and the mixture of anger and longing from Seka makes uncovering what happened between her and the protagonist one of the most compelling aspects of this game. Sometimes the love interests like Chinese expat Bai Meng are not connected to your amnesiac past, and sometimes others like police officer Wakabachi Mori have past connections to the protagonist, which is incredibly fascinating to discover due to its unpredictability. The variety of QTE inputs from holding down the button to repeated presses at different intervals make the fight scenes more unique compared to the usual QTEs, and make scenes such as running away from the Yakuza or deal with Vice President of the Kuroiwa clan and rival Nika fun to play through. The relationship dynamics between the love interests are intriguing to uncover, like how sisters Chuki and Chiaki are not close due to the latter's marriage to an abusive husband, or the complicated relationship between mother and daughter Seka and Anzu. Despite the game's crime story, the humorous moments and love rivalries doesn't feel out of place and adds a lightness to the story, where its dramatic themes and fun gameplay make ReFate Echoes of Desire certainly a non-Chinese romance FMV worth diving into. Coming to our winner, we have Five Hearts Under One Roof Season 2, which continues Yuman's adventures of running the boarding house after an accident with both returning and new love interests. Because of this mixture of returning and new love interests compared to most romance FMV games choosing to cast familiar actresses but in new roles like Knowledge or No Lady 2, it's quite fun to see the different dynamics and romantic rivalries between love interests like Mal-sook, Yuri and Yuna Jong. Contrary to my fears prior to release that the returning love interests like Grandong will completely overshadow the new ones, I was very happy to see that some like Yuri with her wholesome sweetness and Yujong were able to stand out. Well, and of course Dr. Suji Lee, the huge surprise breakout character for this game. Borrowing from Knowledge or No Lady 1, Season 2 encourages the player to explore all the various paths in order to unlock items that will sometimes increase your affection points with particular love interests, or sometimes just for additional scenes like Minjun tripping on a random banana, you know, just for lols. But this makes the game incredibly worth replaying to find out more scenes with the various women, especially since the light-hearted and funny tone will make the game's story absolutely a relaxing breeze to play. It may not have thoroughly explored the full potential of continuing existing love interest stories, but the fact that Storytalker were bold enough to continue Minjun, Mal-sook and Grandong's love stories, coupled with pretty good replayability and interesting variation on scenes based on selected love interests, makes Season 2 an understandable winner for Best Non-Chinese FMV. Carrying on the theme of Five Hearts Under One Roof Season 2, we have runner-up in the form of Bestie Mal-sook Go, who remains one of the best friendzone style love interests in the genre, well, along with Gui Si-han from My Destiny Girls. The playfulness she exhibits with Yuman, like shoving him away, or the banter like when Yuman calls her grasshopper legs, is enjoyable and fun to watch. Season 2 seems to retcon some of the more serious romantic developments between Mal-sook and Yuman, where they have moved beyond the friend zone. Although to be fair, this retconning does occur with Minjun and Grandong, so Mal-sook's romance in Season 2 is still about navigating that friend zone area. Perhaps due to the events of Season 1, Mal-sook gets more easily jealous of the other women's romantic interest in Yuma, and it manifests in a form of possessiveness that sometimes is quite endearing to see her go beyond her usual teasing self, but sometimes from my personal point of view crosses the line. Because of that, it seems like Storytalker chose to up Mal-sook's tsundere-ness. Wait, is that even a real word? Oh, what the heck it is now! This is countered by nicer moments such as when Mal-sook was incredibly protective of Yuman during high school, or when she gets flustered when Yuman gets more serious about his romantic feelings or about the possibility of them being together. Despite her being a bit more abrasive in season 2, there are softer moments where you see Mal-sook's more caring nature as she reveals she took on the rental girlfriend job to help pay for Eunbi's overseas university tuition, or how devastated she is at the thought of Yuman not wanting to see her ever again if she continues the rental girlfriend job. This also has the effect of seeing the tables turn when Mal-sook's rental girlfriend occupation leads to Yuman wondering why he feels jealous about things, rather than in season 1 where, depending on the player's choices, it can be a one-sided romance between the two besties. The combination of playful banter, teasing, and how Mal-sook gets more shocked when things start to get real between her and Yuman makes me see why people voted her the runner-up. For the winner, we have Ning, the seemingly cold-blooded assassin from Love Is All Around 2, where the protagonist Cheng Ye's act of kindness marks the beginning of a memorable character and romantic arc. Connecting over their childhood memories of wishing upon stars and love for hawthorn cakes, what makes Ning a fascinating love interest is that despite being a trained killer, Ning is very innocent in relationship matters such as thinking kissing is normal between friends. Even so, we can see that Cheng Ye's act of kindness had such a big impact on her that in chapter 2, Ning is willing to try to protect Cheng Ye during an assassination attempt on Princess Lu Mingyue's life and feels genuinely regretful that she could hurt him even if she's pretending to hold him hostage. As you play the game, you can see Ning's understanding of her feelings grow, as initially she doesn't understand that the reason Cheng Ye tears up an assassination contract offered by her is because he doesn't want to lose her, to a point in chapter 5 where she states clearly she wants to be more than friends and even kisses Cheng Ye after teaching some martial arts move, which is frankly so adorable. I think this character could have easily been played as being completely cold-hearted or in a silly way, but again, just as with the prequel or Echoes of Yesterday DLC love interest Yuan Qi, kudos to actress Tina Chen, who is able to portray and balance the naivete, coldness, and the longing for a real love for Ning in a way that's believable and not cheesy, and that makes Ning absolutely deserving to win the Best Female Character award. Whether as a supporting character or protagonist, the male characters have their roles to play in the various romance FMV games, starting with the runner-up, young noble Caiko, Cheng Ye's best friend in Love Is All Around 2, who despite his name being a pun for stupid idiot or stupid fat fool. Okay, maybe that's a little strong, Gollum. Anyway, Caiko is the ideal best friend we all wish we had, supporting Cheng Ye even sometimes at the cost of his own personal romantic chances, such as even if you fail or choose not to catch the ball that will give you a chance to have a night with courtesan Liu Shishi, he gives it to you without hesitation. Caiko's regular teasing of Cheng Ye, such as saying Cheng Ye must be foggy brain for thinking he's more handsome than Caiko, and his reactions to any hint of simmering homoeroticism towards him from Cheng Ye are really priceless. Unlike actor Zheng Xudong's previous role as Lao Liu in the original Love Is All Around, where although he is generally a cool guy, doesn't directly contribute to the original game's main story or problem of Gui dealing with his debt, Caiko participates and aids the investigation into the mystery of the fire that killed Cheng Ye's family by providing clues and insights. Maybe taking into consideration about some fans' feedback for the prequel or Echoes of Yesterday DLC about Lao Liu being a bit obnoxious, such as letting Xiao Qingqing drug Gui for money or gaslighting Gui to get money for his girlfriend, In Tiny avoided that with Caiko, which along with his sense of humor and helpful nature in the story makes him a worthy runner-up. switching things up for our winner, who is actually not a supporting character but the protagonist. We have Wu Yulun, the main character for Revenge on Gold Diggers and the leader of a group of Robin Hood-like figures to deal with love scams. What makes the character fascinating is that players can see Wu Yulun start from an idealistic, good-hearted man who is head over heels in love with streamer Chen Xingxi, but after being conned out of his money by her, he becomes a more jaded con artist, which actually can be sad for players to see Wu Yulun use his enemies' tactics against them. Even though the player could choose to emphasize the path of vengeance for Wu Yulun, he's still capable of some humanity in moments such as showing concern for Chen Xingru's mother or expressing how, although he's not the same guy as before, he does long for the sweet girl Chen Xingxing appeared to be. What makes the character even more interesting is that depending on the player's choices, Wu Yulun's relationships with the various con women marks are not of straightforward antagonism but can also involve mixed emotions of whether Wu Yulun starts to fall in love with them. I think that's why players found his character compelling and voted him the winner. Now we come to the big one, and actually,
The circle is now complete.
because for our runner-up we have Hello Love 18 again, no pun intended. While the premise of time travelling back to find true love in a limited amount of time may seem simple, Hello Love 18 again makes it compelling with diverse romantic arcs, incredibly funny moments and some good gameplay mechanics. The romantic relationships between protagonist Li Tao and the different women develops differently, such as Li Tao and businesswoman Xu Jiajia finding ways to break the ice and boundaries between their different social statuses, or the very effortless emotional connection with rich girl Shen Mengxuan. Each of the love interests has depth that goes beyond archetypes, such as childhood friend Chu Yao finding ways to overcome her shyness due to the influence of Li Tao, or how cheerleader Su Xiaoxiao's flirtatious teasing turning into real romantic feelings. What's interesting is that Hello Love 18 again is one of the few romance FMV games that does more extensive or conclusive epilogues like Tomorrow's Love Puzzle, compared to most games that will just end at or shortly after the confession moment. For example, we see Chu Yao appear with a different, more mature hairstyle when she's married to Li Tao and thinking of having kids together, and it's nice to see different phases of a romantic relationship in a single game. The game is able to balance between comedic moments such as when Li Tao's cat Little Snow possesses the various love interests and even best friend Zhao Zhao, along with serious dramatic themes like how Xu Jiajia changed her name so that she can stand on her own feet to prove to her family who neglected her. But the game does this in a way that doesn't feel like emotional whiplash or out of place. Because of the rules of time travel, you're not allowed to tell the truth about how Li Tao knows things, which adds to a sense of suspense to the player's decision making, and well, if you do, you will get a visit from the totally not MIB agents here, and well, minus any witty lines from Agent J.
That's what we get.
A nice little touch is that the game will indicate your different relationship statuses, such as friendly or intimate, as you build or lose affection points with the various love interests, which along with their in-depth stories, personalities, and the game's balance of humor and drama makes Hello Love 18 again absolutely one for best FMV. To our champion for this category, we have Such a Guy, featuring protagonist Zheng Zai's romantic relationship with 6 different women as he tries to run a guest house with his best friends. Similarly to Hello Love 18 again, its premise may not be as complex as Game of Fate 2, but Such a Guy has enjoyable but diverse love stories reflecting the personalities of the different love interests, great replayability, and small but meaningful features that just add to the whole experience. For example, there are nice little touches like the little animations for the love interest avatars if their affection points are up or down, where most games just puts the love interest names only, or the stunning animated scenes during the meditation scene or tarot card reading scene with Shimama, which adds a nice variety to the game. It's neat in the exploration parts. You can see the characters moving around and sometimes saying lines of dialogue, when most games just feature a static scene with no characters or animations. Sometimes the exploration parts don't have visible clickable parts, such as when you're helping to find shells for Wang Yutong, which adds some variety to the exploration phase. Sometimes the game throws some surprises, such as searching around could trigger scenes of the love interest getting offended by Zheng Zai's breach of their privacy, which is a nice little way to poke fun at most romance FMV games, allowing players to freely investigate characters' lives. In addition, there are so many variations on how the werewolves game would play out in the first chapter alone, and that's a reflection of how there's so much replayability in different parts of the game. This replayability is also evident in the different flavors of the romances between Zheng Zai and the various love interests, such as the initial formalness between Zheng Zai and Gan Qi moving into something more personal, or the hilarious bashful banter with Luo Yeke. There are some moments where the game isn't perfect, such as for some areas, the game's events are quite linear with no option for the player to pick what to do or love interest to spend time with. That being said, such a guide just includes so many small but meaningful features or additions, like instead of the usual one male best friend, such a guy has two with Da Chao and Fei Yang. It sounds trivial, but it helps to add to some fresh dynamics between the male characters and also allows for some depth, such as Fei Yang giving up a stable job or Da Chao choosing to join the business to maintain their friendship. Another nice touch is that based on your choices, the love interest with the second highest affection points will have a regret ending, which is something we don't see often with other romance FMV games, maybe with the exception of the brief moments of sadness for the rejected love interest for the Love is in the Room DLC. Other than its well-written and diverse love interests, it's this attention to detail to both small and important features or aspects by such one studio that I absolutely agree makes such a guide the winner for Best FMV of 2025. And I'm happy that such a guy and Hello Love 18 again were the winner and runner-up respectively, as it goes to show that contrary to a lot of other devs choosing to explore period drama, thriller or mythology, modern-day dating stories are not out of fashion as long as they are well written with good acting and production values. I want to thank everyone for voting, and I can't wait to see what surprises, love interests and stories will come our way in 2026. Thank you all for your support and please take care. Turn that off. Inform the commander that Lord Vader's shuttle has arrived. Sir. Lord Vader, this is an unexpected pleasure. We're honored by your presence.
You may dispense with the pleasantries, Commander. The Emperor is dissatisfied with the meager amount of awards the Love is All Around Empire was able to attain. I'm here to put the Midsummer DLC back on schedule.
I assure you, Lord Vader, the Midsummer DLC will be released as planned, and then the Empire's glory will be undeniable at the next awards.
The Emperor does not share your optimistic appraisal of the situation.
But he asked the impossible. How can I make an exciting DLC with only just Tina Chen and Guo Zhiya? I need more resources to hire Zhou Jiajia, Zhong Chenya, Wang Xingchen, Yu Binghui and the others.
Then perhaps you can tell him when he arrives.
The Emperor's coming here?
That is correct, Commander. And he is most displeased with the lack of a firm release date.
We shall double our efforts.
I hope so, Commander, for your sake. The Emperor and the fans are not as forgiving as I am.